Hello and welcome to the 2026 Opening Countdown, a series where we count down to opening day by briefing all 30 teams in MLB. Yesterday we spoke about the Boston Red Sox, and today we'll be talking about the San Diego Padres. Last year, the Padres finished a record 90 and 72, second place in NL West, but they lost the NL Wildcard Series to the Chicago Cubs 3 games. But without further ado, let's get into it. So, the Padres have a pretty good offense, but it's a little bit top heavy. Like Tatis, well, I wouldn't say top heavy maybe, but Tatis and Machado, two very good bats. Tatis last year 131 WRC plus and 137 BFIP plus. Machado 123 WRC plus and 128 BFIP plus. They're two guys who are definitely could be better and have been better in the past, but had like bit of like a little bit of down season last year, and I think they could bounce back, but we'll see. But they do have a pretty good like supporting cast. Like Loriano's above average hitter, Merrill's above average, Konorov's above average, Jason's above average. I do like Ty France. Like he was below average last year by WRC plus, but above average by BF plus. And look at the splits for France. Like against righties, he was sort of average 93 WRC plus and a 97 BF plus. But against lefties is where he really did his damage. 90 WRC plus and 135 BF plus. So he's someone that I think will probably be sort of platooning with Gavin Sheets, who last year he wasn't above average hitter, but look at the splits for him. 122 BFIP plus against righties and against lefties. Only 79, so sort of platooning, but I think France will be playing, can like play every day just because the offensive numbers like pretty much are pretty much average against righties. So we'll get into it when we get into the lineups, but other than that, they also have Bogarts, who's a decent hitter, and then Andujar, who was pretty good last year by WRC plus, but FIFA plus is only 89, so I sort of see a bit of regression from him. Like you look at the numbers against righties, like it was pretty average, like 108 WRC plus, but a 93 FIFA plus. But against lefties, like where the luck really came from. 171 WRC plus, but just 75 FIFA plus, and that's mostly because he struck out a decent amount and didn't walk at all, not much power. So he was really like relying on BABIP to do damage, and that's how he got into the 171 WC plus. He may not hit as bad as this, just because he is a righty. Usually righties are pretty good against lefties, but I think Andahar is probably not gonna hit to this level again. But they don't really need him to. Like you can see, like they do have a ton of hitters who were very good against lefties last year. Against righties, they had some solid guys, but definitely better against lefties. So yeah, as I have for the offense, onto the pitching staff. The pitching staff is really the weak point for this roster because they only have 3 guys who are above average by BFIP. One of them is Nick Pivetta, who was their ace last year, 2.87 ERA, but his BFIP was a run higher than that, so you expected some regression from him, even though he's still like above average. And then it's Yu Darvish, who I believe is missing the year with an injury. And then it's Kyle Hart, who's really more of a long reliever than an actual starter. Then after that, you have JP Sears, uh, who's average. Michael King, who you're sort of hoping for a bounce back. And even though he was good by area last year, profiles are not so great on him. So maybe King can bounce back. I did post like when King got signed by the Padres. I posted on my Blue Sky at rajmanta.ca of how King could possibly bounce back, and that's mostly like due to pitch usage changes and how to attack hitters. And if you like go to my Blue Sky day, you can probably find it. And if he can make those changes, then he's probably better. But yeah, like he really like struggled with rails last year, and that's why he was bad. And if you can limit that, then he's a much better pitcher. But outside of King, there's Griffin Canning, who's actually missing some time, and then Bueller, Vasquez, Marquez, 3 guys who weren't that great last year. Like I know like Vasquez had a pretty good ERA, but all 3 guys beef up over 5. So actually, Vasquez, the thing about him is that down the stretch he did gain velocity, and when he gained velocity, he performed better down the stretch. And this spring he is this spring he's has like he's sustaining that velocity that he gained at the end of last year. So if he can sustain that, then he could pitch closer to this, but like in a more sustainable manner. And if that happens, then he's a very good get for the Padres pitching staff. Well, not again because he was already on the team. Like very good boost for that rotation. Though the rotation isn't that great, they do have a very good bullpen. Like Mason Miller, 263 ERA, 228 BFIP, one of the best arms in the game in the bullpen. Like no doubt about it. Like average is 101, touches 103, 104 with the fastball, and then goes slider off of that. Uh, Today I'm recording this. Was USA and DR, and he got the save for the US against Dominican Republic. Though it was a little bit controversial just because the last pitch was a slider below the zone, but it is what it is. The Padres also have Aiden Marjon and Jeremiah Estrada in that bullpen. Two guys who over 70 innings last year. 2.8 ERA for Marjon, 3.45 ERA for Estrada, but both had a BFIP sub 3. So like three guys who had 60 innings last year, sub 3 BFIP. That's a very strong three-headed monster in the back of that bullpen. You also have Jason Adam and David Morgan in the mix. Jason Adam is going to miss the start of the year, but he'll be back pretty soon. 193 ERA last year. 354 BFIP, although I do think there's a chance he pitches closer to his BFIP. I believe like 3 of the past 4 years he pitched to a sub 2 ERA. So like he might just pitch closer to his ERA, to be honest. And he's a very good arm for them if he does that. And then David Morgan, he was a rookie last year. Yeah, I really like him. Fastball since 98. Sinker that gets a ton of drops since 97. 266 ERA last year. 391 BFIP. Probably not in the mix for holds, but he's good enough to earn that opportunity if he ever gets it. But yeah, just a pretty solid, just a very good bullpen, honestly. Like even though Adams missing the year, like these four is a very good strong four, though Morgan's a little bit behind the other three. Yeah, that's what I have for the bullpen. Onto the pitcher lineups. I have Freddie Fermin catching every day. He wasn't the greatest hitter last year, 77 WC plus and BFIP plus, but he is very good defensively. I do want to say though that they do have Campusano as their bench catcher. In Campusano last year, he was very good at AAA. If you look at his numbers at AAA, 148 WC plus and 149 BFIP plus, those are like some of the best. I believe the best mark in the PCL. So Campusano, like maybe that translates to the majors, but like he has had a history of like hitting very well at AAA, but having it not translate as well to the majors. So maybe he's like that quad A guy, but they need him to be like that bench catcher. So pretty low stakes for Campusano, and I think he can probably fulfill that role. At first base, it's sort of a platoon of Sheets and Fans. So against righties, I do have Fans to DHing. So it's really more platoon of Sheets and Andujar. Sheets, again, last year against righties, he had a 122 BFIP plus. Andujar, he wasn't great against lefties, but I am sort of betting on him still being like sort of at the WC plus, like maybe not 171 WC plus, but I'm betting him to be like at least average by WC plus next year, and I think there's a chance he is. So, hope if he can, then he'll be great in that DH spot. Though if he isn't, then put in Castellanos or maybe in Campusano in that role. Hi France, he won the gold. He won the Gold Glove at first base last year, so you could like play him every day at first base, but even though he was good defensively last year, previous years he wasn't as great, so I sort of like, and also like Ty France and on roster invitee probably gonna get a diminished role if he were to make the roster, so that's why I sort of have him in this like sort of like first base against lefties, DH against righties sort of role. Second base, Jake Cronenworth, third base, Manny Machado, shortstop, Janet Bogarts. Like all three guys are pretty much above average hitters against both righties and lefties. Cronenworth, 117 BFIP plus against righties. Machado, 120. Bogarts, 97. So slightly below average, but still around average. Then his lefties, Machado, 154. Bogarts, 127. Cronenworth, 107. So yeah, all three guys above average hitters against both, at least average hitters against both lefties and righties. And that's a very good infield. They do have Sungmin Song. They signed from the KBO this offseason. He's starting the year on the IL, but I think when he comes back, he's probably going to be in a strong side platoon role. Like maybe he replaces France at DH, or maybe like he replaces Cronenworth at second base and Cronenworth moves to DH. There's like a few different ways you can go about it. Like maybe even places Xander Bogaerts at short, though I don't know if you want Bogaerts in like short side platoon role when he is still like average against righties. But yeah, like a few different ways you can deploy Sungmin Song. Like he's probably gonna play mostly second, but a little bit third, most likely. So, but like we'll see. Like when he comes back from the injured list. In the outfield, have Loriano, Merrill, and Tatis. Again, like these three guys are like pretty much average against both righties and lefties. So Tatis 132 BFIP plus, Merrill 119, Loriano 108, and then against lefties, Tatis 152, Loriano 147, and Merrill 120. Yeah, just a very good outfield. The one small issue is that you don't really have like a fourth outfielder. Like, let's say like Merrill gets hurt, or you want to give Merrill a day off from center field. You don't really have a way to do that. Like Loriano, I guess, like he did play a little bit of center field, so I guess you could go with him. But off the bench, you only have like Campusano, who's a catcher, McCoy, who's an infielder, and then Andrew Castellanos, who can play the outfield, but they're more like corner outfield types. Like maybe I guess you could do like Andrew or Castellanos in left, and then Loriano moves to center. Or I guess like maybe even like Tatis, he was like platinum glove defender last year. Like maybe he could move to center field. But yeah, that's what I have for the offense. Onto the rotation. Pivetta, King, Vasquez, Sears, Marquez. You could go Bueller. Let me find him. You could go Bueller in that rotation, and he is like sort of comparable to Marquez. You know, if not like slightly better than Marquez, but Marquez is on a guaranteed deal. Bueller is on a non-roster invitee, so I don't really see him like getting. I don't really like see Bueller starting the year in the big league. He most likely starts the year at AAA. But this rotation, like even if Vasquez is good, it's not the best rotation because like it's like Pivetta, King, and Vasquez are even average, and then Sears and Marquez are both like below average arms, and I don't really know. Like they're really gonna have to address that at the line, like if especially if Musgrove doesn't come back to form. Yeah, outside of that, they bullpen, like again, Miller, Morejon started three very good arms in that back in the bullpen. David Morgan, another very good arm who I really like, pretty much average by BFIP, and then Marinacho and Bradley Rodriguez, two guys, small sample last year. 117 ERA for Bradley, or 8.84 ERA for Marinacho. But small, BFIP are in like the low threes. It's small sample, so I'm not really like buying into it, but I think they're at least like average arms, maybe. Like Bradley has very good stuff, but like I think he's more of like a like right now he's probably like more of like middle to low leverage guy. Then Wandy Peralta, Kyle Hart, two more like low leverage guys. Peralta, 314 area last year, but they fell about 415, which is essentially average. And then what is he? Kyle Hart, he's like that long reliever. 20 games played, 43 innings, like average like 2 innings per outing. 5.86 ERA last year, but when he moved to Penn, he was much better, and he had a 4.06 BFIP last year, which is definitely better. So yeah, that's what I have for the predicted lineups onto the win projections. So Tatis is like projected for a ton of wins here because last year he had 8.5 wins because he was a very good hitter last year, and also he was their best defender according to Rogers, so he pretty much earned that platinum glove in my opinion. So 8.5 Rogers last year, but around 4 wins the year before that, so he's like expected to be somewhere in the middle, 6.5 wins, and then after that you have Machado, who's projected for at least 3 wins, Merrill, Bogarts, Loriano for around 3 wins, and then a lot of guys for around 2 wins or like 1 win. So like yeah, it's a pretty good team, but like a lot of their talent is in the bullpen, as you can see. Like rotation, they have a few guys. Like Kyle is like more of a bullpen piece, but like other than that, like rotation, they do have a few guys. So Darvish is missing some time, Musco is missing some time. Pivetta, maybe he doesn't. Well, Pivetta has been like 2 wins the past few years. Maybe he's probably 2 wins again. But yeah, on to the win projections. Padres projected to go 87-75, which if you look at the NL standings. It's the 6th seed, so basically just barely in the playoffs. They're not gonna compete with the Dodgers, just like too. The Dodgers are just way too far ahead to for the Padres to entertain like winning the division, but they're definitely in the mix for a wildcard spot. And then like they're mostly like competing with the NL East teams like Phillies, Mets, Braves. You can also like argue like Brewers and Reds as well. They're definitely in that mix. And then Padres are definitely like in that mix like for wildcard spot. Like the Padres like could like lose some wins. Like let's say Tatis like more of a 4-win guy like 2023 or 2024, and then let's say Merrill doesn't really bounce back and he's like a 2-win guy again, then all of a sudden like 84 wins and that's like borderline with the Brewers and the Reds. But obviously like they do have like potential to overperform. Like let's say Tatis is like more of a 7-win guy again, and then Machado like bounces back to more of like 5-win guy, and then they definitely like lock in more of like a first wildcard spot. So yeah, there's definitely like some pathways for the Padres to make the playoffs or miss the playoffs. I think they're more likely to make the playoffs, and I think they will make the playoffs. But they're a little bit like top heavy in the roster. Like let's say Tatis gets hurt, then you're replacing him with someone like Andujar or Castellanos who weren't that great offensively last year, and then that really like hurts your protection wise. So it really they're really like hoping for the team like to not suffer too many injuries, which you can't really count on consistently. But yeah, that's what I have for the Padres. Thank you for watching and goodbye.